Hello class. Welcome to this lesson on copyright and intellectual property use, digital media production, prepared and presented by Kit Keller of Kaplan University. The learning objectives of this lesson are 1. To understand the parameters of copyright law, 2. Understand what intellectual property is, 3. Understand the application of copyright in educational settings, and 4. Be able to respond to the 5-question quiz on copyright and intellectual property use. The concept of copyright goes back to the beginning of our country, as described by Thomas Jefferson. If nature has made any one thing less susceptible than all others of exclusive property, it is the action of the thinking power called an idea, which an individual may exclusively possess as long as he keeps it to himself. But the moment it is divulged, it forces itself into the possession of everyone, and the receiver cannot dispossess himself of it. Its peculiar character, too, is that no one possesses the less, because every other possesses the whole of it. He who receives an idea from me receives instruction himself without lessening mine, as he who lights his taper at mine receives light without darkening me. The source of that quote is Cornell University Law School. What is intellectual property? There are 4 basic categories of intellectual property covered by the copyright law: patent, copyright, trademark, and trade secrets. It is commonly understood as providing an incentive to authors and inventors to produce works for the benefit of the public by regulating the public's use of such works in order to ensure that authors and inventors are compensated for their efforts. Congress derives its power to regulate patents and copyrights from the Intellectual Property Clause of the Constitution. The basics of copyright law. The basic purpose is to protect intellectual property, as stated here in the law itself. Copyright pertains to original works of authorship fixed in any tangible medium of expression. Works of authorship include literary works, musical works, including any accompanying words, dramatic works, including any accompanying music, pantomimes and choreographic works, pictorial, graphic, and sculptural works, motion pictures and audiovisual works, sound recordings, and architectural works. The source of that information is Understanding Copyright Law by Horner. Copyright in education. Fair use is defined as follows. Section 107 of the Copyright Law contains a list of the various purposes for which the reproduction of a particular work may be considered fair, such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. And what determines fair use? There are 4 factors. First, the purpose and character of the use, including whether such use is of commercial nature or is for nonprofit educational purposes. Second, the nature of the copyrighted work. Third, the amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. And last, the effect of the use upon the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. Source of that is the U.S. Copyright Office. Things changed with the advent of online sharing of information. The Digital Millennium Copyright Act builds on the existing copyright law. It was passed in 1998. It focuses on online copyright issues, and the purpose is to promote electronic commerce and the distribution of digital works. The source for that information is also the United States Copyright Office. So in summary, copyright law protects intellectual property. Its purpose is to foster creativity. An educational setting may be eligible for fair use of some materials. The Digital Millennium Copyright Act focuses on online digital intellectual property. And now, let's see if you can respond to the quiz on this particular topic. Email your responses to me. First, describe fair use. Second, describe what is protected by copyright. True or false? Online material is not protected by copyright. What are the 4 categories of intellectual property? And last, when can educators use protected work without permission? Email those responses to me at kkeller2@kaplan.edu. The sources for the information included here are shown on this slide. Thank you.